Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first ever live stream on Ape Nation. Before I get started, I just need you guys to let me know, can you hear me, and does everything look okay? Forgive the camera for being kind of low quality. I will have that fixed eventually. Let's see here. Perfect. All right, everyone can hear. All right, that's awesome. All right, then I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And also just, I don't know how long I'm going to do this for, maybe 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't really know. But I'm just going to get started here. This is really just like I said in my post, this is mainly a test run for me for something that I'm planning that I cannot tell you about yet, that I will hopefully be able to tell you about early next week, if not the end of next week. But I'm very excited to let you guys know what is going on. That is going to be live. But for now, I'm just doing this as a fun little test, and I thought it'd be cool to just have a little hangout, talk about some Planet of the Apes or whatever you guys want to talk about. So I guess with all that out of the way, I'm going to I'm going to go through the comments here and just kind of answer questions or talk about whatever you guys are talking about. So let's see here. All right, let's pull this one up first. All right. Chase Hedges, we have the final battle between the two human armies in War for the Planet of the Apes makes the ending of the 1968 original even harder to watch. I think Charlton Heston would love War. I agree. I think he probably would love War. I think that would probably be his favorite of the bunch. Sadly, we will never know if that is the case. But I agree. It definitely makes it a bit harder to watch. Next one up. Okay. Dawn is my favorite movie of all time right now. You know, it creeps up on me, or it creeps up on my favorite movies of all time list all the time. War is still my number one of all the new ones. The original is in my top 5 of all time. The War is probably in my top, like, I don't know, 20, 25. Dawn is definitely up there too. I love that movie as well. Let's see. Next one. Okay, we got a question here. Larry, would you consider Battle for the Planet of the Apes to be one of the worst sequels ever alongside Caddyshack 2 and Jaws the Revenge? Well, I have not seen Caddyshack 2. I actually haven't even seen Caddyshack 1, sadly. But Jaws the Revenge is one of the worst sequels of all time for sure. It's not as bad as Jaws the Revenge. I mean, at least Battle for the Planet of the Apes at least has good ideas, and it has, like, some characters in it that are compelling. I mean, it has Caesar, it has Roddy McDowell, you have the orangutan, Virgil. So, like, it has things in it that I like, and there are scenes that are good. Jaws of the Revenge is just awful from start to finish. It's laughably bad. So, no, I don't think it's that bad, but it's not good. I cannot stand that movie. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, Comic Bricks. I think Escape from the Planet of the Apes is the Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home of the Planet of the Apes and Raiders. That is a perfect comparison for that movie. Actually, a very perfect comparison for that movie. Star Trek IV is kind of that. It's a fish out of water type of movie. It has more comedy. It has more lightheartedness, but it's also has a lot of drama, has a lot of depth. So, and I think it's very unique to the Star Trek franchise, specifically the original 6 movies. So I wholeheartedly agree. Let's see what else we got next. The ending to Battle is just wonderful. It's not a good movie, but the final lines are beautiful. I 100% agree with that, Chase. I totally agree. I think the final scene of Battle is a really wonderful scene. It's just a shame that everything leading up to it is not good, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Next question from Larry. Would you have liked to seen a canon film style Planet of the Apes film, since they did almost get the rights from 20th Century Fox? Let me read that again. Would you have liked to have seen a canon film style Planet of the Apes film? Sorry, I don't really know what you're asking there, man, but maybe if you want to reword it, I can try again. Simp for Apple Stream from West Ball. No comment. We're just going to move on from that. Talking ape. Hello, everyone. So we're going to talk some apes, or we're just monkeying around. We can do both. We can do both. Lewis, have you ever read the story description for the canceled Planet of the Apes reboot that would have starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as the lead character? I haven't read the entirety of it. I think the script is online for you to read. I might be wrong about that, but I know some of things about it, but no, I don't know like the intensity, like the intricacies of the story or anything like that. But that's actually a video that I do want to make at some point. I don't know when, but one video, actually, it's probably multiple videos about all the different iterations of Planet of the Apes movies that never got to be made. So that's something I really want to explore at some point. I don't know when, but it's definitely something I want to explore. Okay, Bookworm Dazzle. Can't think of a Planet of the Apes question right now. So any good movie you saw in 2025 so far? Novocaine. Really, really love Novocaine. That was a really fun movie. Saw it a few weeks ago. Thought it was really good. Death of a Unicorn I saw yesterday. That was also pretty fun. But Novocaine's easily my favorite movie I've seen so far this year. Nothing has really stood out to me as far as like great, but there's been a few movies I really liked. Also saw Mickey 17. That was pretty good. Not my favorite Bong Joon-ho movie, but it was good. It was pretty good. Ryan Keefe, Battle really shows its budget or lack thereof. I completely agree. And that is one of the, not the biggest reason, but it's one of the reasons that really sinks it for me. I mean, obviously, budget isn't everything, production value isn't everything, but you also have to have a good script to counter it, and that movie just doesn't. So if the story was better, if the characters were more compelling, that'd be one thing, but unfortunately, it's combined with a lack of budget, so it just all falls apart. Okay. Emma Shepard, I hope we get mutants back in new and interesting ways. I have gone back and forth on this so many times in my head. I mean, even in my videos, I've gone back and forth on it, if I think or even if I want to see mutants. But I really just think it depends on how it's executed. I think it depends on where the next movie goes, on whether or not I think this world has the potential to have them work or not. But we'll see. I think it could be cool. It really just depends on how they're executed. You can't do them the exact same way that the original movies did, but you can. I think there's a way you can do them. Simp for Avril. Gonna watch the OG 2001 movie with your buddies. Yeah, I can't say when because I don't know, but yes, we are planning on doing that. My hope is that we're going to do it this summer, just because Cal doesn't live in this country in the United States, so he whenever he comes to visit, we are going to hopefully be able to do it because he comes for a few weeks at a time. So, but I don't know when we're going to be able to do that. But yes, we are definitely planning on doing it. I'm very excited to show them those movies. Travis has only seen the original. I think he likes that movie. I don't know, but I know he's seen that one, and I know I think he said he's seen Beneath, but I don't think he's seen any of the others, and Cal hasn't seen any of them, so that'll be a fun reaction. Sporty Boa, should there be any ape advancement between Kingdom and the next film of the series? What would that look like? What would you want to see? That's tough to say. I mean, when you look at the Caesar trilogy, Rise and Dawn is a 10-year gap. You see a lot of advancement just in those 10 years alone. Then you see even more advancement in the 2 years between Dawn and War. So it really depends on how far they want to go into the future. Obviously, it's going to be still focused on Noah, but I don't know if they want to tell a story about Noah continuing to be a young adult, or if Noah's going to be, 7 or 8 or 10 years older in the next movie and maybe more of a mature adult. We don't know. I don't know. So I don't know how far they're going to go. But as for ape advancement, I mean, we've already seen how far they've come since the Caesar era. I don't know if they could go that much further. I don't know how much further they can advance outside of just, what Proximus was trying to do with, gathering weapons and technology and learning how it works. But, I really am just curious to see what they actually do with it. So I don't know. Larry, you should watch Caddyshack too, just to see how bad it is, especially If you've seen the first one, it's often considered the worst sequel of all time. It's one of the many old school comedies that I have not seen that I have on my list of movies to watch, but I will get around to it. Let's see here. Okay, I'll talk about this for a second. Will Hittinger. Let's talk about more news about Avengers Doomsday. Admittedly, I don't know how to feel about Avengers Doomsday right now. I'm a Marvel fan. I like the MCU. I used to love the MCU. I'm not crazy about it right now, but I still like some of the more recent movies. But don't know how they're going to pull this off. Just seems like a lot to do in one movie, especially considering they just started filming, and there's a lot of behind the scenes craziness that's gone on with Marvel in the last few years. So we'll see. That cast is crazy stacked, and I am excited to see the old X-Men characters back. I love Ian McKellen as Magneto and Patrick Stewart as Xavier. So excited to see them come back. Excited to see how they join forces with the Avengers and all that. But as of now, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it, but I don't have 100% faith that it's going to be able to be pulled off. But we'll see. Okay. Driz Music. I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I always enjoy the time travel aspect of the franchise. Do you think that there's any right way to implement into one of the future films? I mean, yeah, you could do it. I don't know if they will. I don't know if it would make sense. I don't know if it would work, but you could do it. I mean, there's absolutely a world where it could work. But as for how to do it, I don't really know. I mean, it completely depends on where in the timeline they do it. It depends on what characters do it. It depends on where the next few movies go. It depends on a whole bunch of different things. It depends on the filmmakers working on it. So we'll see. I don't know what Rick Jaffa and Amanda Silver have planned. They've said they have this 9-movie arc that they want to explore, assuming they get to do all 9 movies. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, next question. Zoe. Really cool to see a live stream from you. Thank you. This is my first time doing a live stream. I've never gone live before. Admittedly, I don't love being on camera, so this is a little bit of kind of uncharted territory for me. But I thought it would be fun to make this the first thing I do if I'm going to do anything. It's just talking to you guys and talking about Planet of the Apes and whatever you want to do. So, and like I said, I need to practice because there is something I'm going to need to do a live stream for in a couple of weeks, I think. Yeah, a couple of weeks. But you'll know about it very soon. But yeah, thank you. Okay. Stuart Stafford. Fox cut the budget of each of the early sequels. By the time of Battle, they'd cut down to the bone. It looks like TV episode. It's so cheap. Yes, I completely agree. And that is just sadly how movies and franchises were made back then. Or at least, in the 60s and 70s, they just got cheaper and cheaper with each movie. It sucks. It really does. But the one thing is with Battle, it seemed like at that point, at least to me, it just seems like at that point, they just didn't even try. At least with Beneath and Escape and Conquest, you could see them at least trying to take the limited resources that they had and do something unique and interesting and exciting with them and being creative with what they had. Battle just didn't feel like that. Battle felt like they were just like, all right, we're done. There's no reason to continue this. But yeah, it's a shame. But, not a great ending for the franchise. But still, not the worst movie in the world. Comic Bricks. It's not great, but I really enjoyed watching A Working Man, The Beekeeper of 2025. I didn't see The Beekeeper, and I haven't seen A Working Man yet. I've heard both are good. I like David Ayer. He's a good filmmaker. And I like Jason Statham. He's not like a great actor or anything, but he's a fun action star. I've always enjoyed him. So I want to check both of those out. They don't really seem like theater movies to me, but I would check them out. Okay. Zoe, you should definitely do a Planet of the Apes iceberg just to put all of your knowledge into one handy video for folks. Long form content rocks right now. I do not know what an iceberg is. So if you could tell me what that is, maybe I could look into it. But yeah, I mean, something like that sounds fun. I could maybe do something like that. We'll see. Donuts. 64. What do you think of Gibbons, the Lesser Apes, making their debut in Planet of the Apes films? I think it's probably going to happen eventually. I mean, Raka mentions them for the first time in Kingdom. As for when we're going to see them, I don't know. The other question is, are they as intelligent as chimps and gorillas and orangutans? I don't know, and that's something I'd love to see explored. Um, but it could be cool. I think we'll see it eventually. It's just a matter of what role do they play, because you also have to come up with characters for them to be. You shouldn't just put them in to put them in. But yeah, I think we'll definitely see them down the line. All right, Lisa Lee. Since Caesar's story is inspired by Moses / Hamlet, and Noah's story is so far Noah and the flood, do you think the filmmakers will be inspired by Greek myth in future movies? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they were. It lines up with everything we've gotten so far, and it works, and it makes for great storytelling. So yeah, I think we could always see it. But they also might go in their own direction, but it seems so far that is definitely where they're pulling some of their inspiration. So all right, what else? The Chase Hedges, the Colonel in War and Jacobs in Rise would disgust Taylor and Brent. They are the embodiment of the worst of humanity, in my opinion. I totally agree. Those two are they are literally the embodiment of everything Taylor and Brent hated, especially Taylor. That's what he left Earth to get away from. Okay, next question. Tyler, hello there. How are you today? I'm good. Thank you very much. When do you think the sequel for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will come out, or what a possible plot would be? I can't really tell you what the plot could be, just because there's not a whole lot we have to go off of right now. In general, it'll be an ape versus human story, but I think there'll be a bit more nuance to it. I think there'll be a bit more of a switch up of the typical formula that we get with the ape versus human story. And I'm really just fascinated to see where May's allegiances end up going in that story. As for when we might get it, I actually, like I said in my video I put out earlier this week, I really don't know right now. Originally, the president of 20th Century said 2027 was the plan. Of course, that could change. They didn't hard set a date, so there's no actual release date. So if it gets moved to, if it goes to 2028, it wouldn't really be being delayed. But right now, the plan is for 2028. I assume July or August at some time there. But it also depends on who's directing it, because if Wes Ball's directing it again, I just don't see a way in which this movie is going to come out in 2027. It's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen. So my assumption is we're going to get an announcement some point in the summer, maybe towards the end of the year, that there's going to be a new director, and we'll hear news of the film going into production at the end of the year, if not early next year, for a summer 2027 release. But anything could happen between now and then, so we'll see. Okay. Ryan Keefe, here's something I'm thinking about. So May seems somewhat immune to the virus. So could she be a backdoor way to introduce mutants? That's definitely a possibility. It's a solid theory, would line up. It really, with the mutants thing, the problem is you have to do it in a way that doesn't completely lose general audiences. Because if you just start throwing in concepts like the mutants and it feels out of place, or it starts becoming like a main part of the story, there's a good chunk of the general audience that's going to check out immediately. That's not maybe fair, but it's just the reality. So they have to be very careful about how they do it. But yeah, if they used May to somehow introduce the new version of the mutants that's more virus driven than nuclear war driven, then yeah, it's totally possible. Okay. David Whitner, was any other actor ever considered for Caesar in Conquest, or was it more expedient to bring Roddy McDowall back since he already understood the process? I mean, as far as I know, there was never an actor that was considered for Caesar in Conquest. I could be wrong about that. I haven't really looked into it. Anything I've read has never indicated that, but I assume they just went for Roddy because he was already a part of the franchise. He probably wanted to do it. He wanted to continue to be the part of the franchise. I think Kim Hunter didn't want to continue being it, but Roddy did. That's what I think happened. I might be wrong. So maybe they just did it and as a way to continue having him play the character. But I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Chris Clark, do you think the humans that May is a part of at the end of Kingdom could end up being the new series version of the underground nuclear worshipping humans? Kind of similar to what the other person asked earlier. Yeah, I think there is a way to take what was set up at the end of Kingdom and use that as a introduction to mutants. I totally think it could happen. It's what I talked about in a video a few months ago I put out. But again, it all depends on how they do it. It depends on the reasoning they're going to do it for. It depends on how they make it make sense for a general audience without making it feel too jarring, without making it feel like it's too out there. So again, we will see what happens. Larry, are you a fan of animation movies? Yes, I love animated movies. I don't watch nearly as many today as I did, 10, 15 years ago. I don't keep up with Pixar as much as I used to, and also just don't think they've put out a lot of great stuff in the last few years. Same with like DreamWorks and Disney Animation. Like I just haven't kept up with a lot of these animated films in the last few years, but the Spider-Verse movies are really incredible as of late. There was an animated movie I saw, The Wild Robot. That's what it was. Wild Robot was really good. The animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that I don't remember the name of, Mutant Mayhem. That was really good. So I do like animated movies. I don't watch as many as I used to, and I know that there are some great ones out there that I just haven't seen that have come out in recent years. But yeah, I really like animated movies. Comic Bricks. I wanted more William H. Macy in Kingdom. I love William H. Macy, and I will never say no to more William H. Macy. So I too would have liked more William H. Macy in Kingdom. But sadly, he was brutally murdered by May. So that didn't happen. Talking Ape. By the way, Josh, thank you for directing us to the short films that were made to promote Dawn. Really enjoyable and kind of reminded me of the ones they did to promote the Serenity movie. I haven't seen those short films, but I will maybe go check those out. But you're welcome. It was something that I had kind of stumbled across a few weeks ago and realized that I never talked about them, and also realized I haven't watched them in 10 years. So I, rewatched them and I was like, oh, this would be an interesting thing to do a video about. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even know these exist. So you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Okay. Cassandra Durantes. Have you read any of the comics about Planet of the Apes? No, I have not. There are many good ones. Do you think we could have some comics or books that happen between Kingdom and the next movie? We could. I think a book is probably more likely, but comics maybe. I mean, they're easier and cheaper to make, but right now we haven't really been getting anything in terms of books and comics, as far as I know. I haven't really seen anything as of late, but yeah, I haven't read any of the comics. I do want to do a video on the comics at some point. I was actually planning on doing one back in March, then that got derailed. So then I was planning on doing one this month. That's probably not going to happen. So I have a video I want to make about the comics. The problem is I just need to find time to do actual research on the comics and learn what I need to learn to make that video, because I have not read any of them. So I need to at least do the bare minimum research and learn a lot about and learn something about them before I do that. But I do want to talk about comics on this channel eventually. Huey. At Ape Nation, I plan to one day make my own audio adaptation of Planet of the Apes, incorporating elements from different iterations. Plus, I'd include baboons and mandrills. That sounds cool. I wish you luck, and that sounds like a really fun and interesting project. Good luck, man. Okay, Matt, you made a video a while ago comparing Caesar versus Caesar, Andy Serkis versus Caesar, Roddy McDowell. Will we see a comparison video with more characters, i.e. Koba versus Proximus? I've never seriously considered it, but it is an idea that has crossed my mind. So I don't know if I'm going to do it. If that's something you guys would be interested in, I could totally do that. I think there are a lot of comparisons between Caesar and Proximus or not Caesar, Koba and Proximus that could be made. I think there are a lot of comparisons between certain other characters that can be made. So, yeah, if the more comparison videos like that are what you guys would like to see, I can totally look into doing that. Bookworm Dazzle. Okay, I got a Planet of the Apes question. What is your most self-indulgent wish for the rest of the trilogy? I'm talking your cringiest theory. Doesn't matter if it reads like a bad Reddit theory or bad fanfic. Truthfully, I'm not a big fan theory guy. Like, I don't sit around thinking, oh, what if they did this, or what if this means they're going to set up this, and I used to be more like that, but nowadays I just like to go with the story. I want to go on whatever adventure the storyteller and the filmmakers are giving me, and take it on its own merits. But is there any theories I really had? Not really. No, honestly. I mean, the only thing I hope that we see is more exploration of the trio of Noah, Suna, and Anaya. I really hope that they become more. I have a feeling that's not going to happen. I feel like it's going to be more of Noah and May's story, but I do hope that Noah, Suna, and Anaya become more of the central figures of the story. But that's really the only theory and hope that I have going forward, at least off the top of my head. I mean, I could if I thought about it for a while, I could probably come up with some things, but. Okay. Of play the Planet of the Apes VR game. I don't really know how to play the Planet of the Apes VR game. I don't have a way to play it because I don't have VR. Truthfully, I'm not a VR person. I've never really liked VR games that much. But I've actually, speaking of games, my final episode of the Last Frontier walkthrough, I just finished recording yesterday, so I'm in the process of finishing editing that, and that'll be up tomorrow. And I talk a little bit about the VR game in that towards the end. But no, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it. I might, watch a cutscene or just watch a playthrough of it myself and then do a review of it. But I don't know if I'll ever get to it just because I don't have a way to play it. But maybe, you never know. Sim for Avril, Godzilla or Kong? Ooh, this is the age-old question, isn't it? I've actually gone back and forth on this one. For a long time, I was a big Kong guy. I really like King Kong. I just think he's a more interesting monster of the two. And also, there's just a lot less to keep up with because there's like 27 Godzilla movies. That being said, then I saw the 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie, which I loved. I know some people do not like that movie. I love that movie. It's probably no, it's not my favorite Gareth Edwards movie, but I think it's a great movie, and really, really just changed my ideas of what Godzilla could be and how cool he could be on screen. And then there was Godzilla -1 that came out 2 years ago, last year. I don't remember when it came out. I think it was 2 years ago, which I could not get enough of that. I saw the movie 3 times in theaters. I loved it so much. So I've become a big Godzilla fan in the recent years. So I think I'm still Team Kong, but I'm inching closer to Godzilla. But we'll see what the next Kong movie has in store. I don't even know if they're making another standalone Kong movie anytime soon. All right, Stuart Stafford. Time travel was a clever way to keep the franchise alive in the early 70s. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we got more Apes movies out of it. That is totally true. That is totally relevant and totally true. It did keep the franchise relevant. I mean, the reality is the only reason they did time travel was because there was nowhere else to go. I mean, the reason they blew up the planet at the end of Beneath was because Charlton Heston did not want to make another movie, but the studio did want to make another movie. So there was literally nowhere else to go unless they did a prequel, which I don't think they were ever considering doing. And so they went back in time and went to another point in the planet's history. So it all worked out because we got, I think, 2 great sequels driven by that time travel. Okay. Paul O'Loughlin. Hey, Josh, I'm loving the videos. Thank you very much. Favorite Andy Serkis performance, not including Caesar. Huh. I mean, Caesar is my favorite performance of his. Let me, you know what? I'm going to look very quickly at Andy Serkis's. Actually, you know what? I know what it is off the top of my head. It's Andor. Him as Kino Loy in Andor. I think he is one of the. First of all, that show is phenomenal. I think it's the best Star Wars thing that has come out of the last 40 years. But if you haven't seen Andor and you're a Star Wars fan, or honestly, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, watch Andor because it's genuinely one of the best seasons of television I've seen in a very, very long time. But Andy Serkis as Kino Loy is excellent in that show. He is, I think he's the best actor in the entire show. I think his performance is phenomenal. And also it was just cool to see him pop up like that. I wasn't expecting it because he already played Snoke in the sequels. So I figured he was kind of just done. But the fact that they brought him back as a human was really cool. So that is my answer. That is his best performance to me. Okay. Larry, question. What type of sequels do you prefer? A more classic Judgment Day, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or a more polarizing sequel to where it challenged you like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and The Ring 2? Well, as someone who vehemently hates Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, oh boy. Yeah, I hate that movie very, very much. I've never seen The Ring 2, but I love the first Ring. But if you're going, I mean, if that's what you mean by challenging and polarizing, then no, I much prefer a classic Judgment Day or Dawn of the Planet of the Apes type sequel because those are just the ones that stick with me the most and I think advance the story and advance the world the most. And that's more of just what I want to see. Shades. How do you plan to keep coming up with content until the next movie? I have an endless list of videos that I plan on making that can probably take me into, at the very earliest, mid 2026. I think I have a document up here. I don't have it. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. But Ape Nation topics. Yeah, I'm looking at my list right now, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 almost completely full pages with like 20 plus topics each on them of videos I want to do. Plus, there's always other things I will be doing, like, you know, anytime news comes out between now and then, I'll do videos on that. And there are also other videos I have ideas for that I haven't written down yet. So I have a lot of ideas. I don't want to tell you what they all are yet, just because I like to keep some things under wraps. But yeah, I have tons of videos I want to talk about. You know, I have a bunch of top 5s and top 10s I want to do. I have certain analytical videos I want to do, talking about like the themes in some of the movies. I also want to talk more about the original movies. I know they don't do quite as well sometimes, but I do want to talk more about like the original movies. There's a video I want to talk about, or not talk about. There's a video I want to do on Beneath sometime in the next few weeks, just because it is the 55. I think it's 55-year anniversary, or it might be the 50-year anniversary. I don't remember. No, I think it's the 55. Yeah, the 55-year anniversary of Beneath the Planet of the Apes is sometime in May. So there's a video I want to do focusing on that and certain aspects of it. But yeah, just like things like that. There's tons of stuff to talk about this franchise. There's 10 movies, there's 2 TV shows, there's 3 video games. Like there's tons of stuff to make videos about. Plus there's another movie on the way, and there's tons of news that'll come out from that in the next 2 years. So we'll see. Okay. Emma Shepard, if the Planet of the Apes actually happened, do you think you'd be able to survive? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would be gone in maybe a month. I mean, honestly, it really wouldn't even be the apes that get me. It would be the other humans that probably end up getting me. You know, I'd probably be killed over bread or, you know, water or something. I'd be killed over something stupid by some other human who's trying to survive. So that's probably what would happen to me. Or I'd be killed by the virus. You know, that's also possible too. Or if it was like the, you know, original series and it's nuclear fallout, then I'd probably be killed by nuclear radiation. So either way, no, I would not survive. Will Hittinger, how do you feel about Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom? Do you think he's an Iron Man variant? I don't know. Truthfully, I don't really know how to feel about the whole Robert Downey Jr. Doom thing. I'm excited to see him back just because he's a great actor and he was great as Iron Man. But it just doesn't. It just seems like a desperate move to me. We'll see how it is and what story they want to tell, but it doesn't seem like the right approach to me. But I don't. Who knows? We'll see. Okay. Comic Bricks. Do you know about the R-rated cut of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes? The political and social undertones of that movie / storyline is so underappreciated. Yeah. If you're talking about the unrated cut, that's like I think 5 minutes longer and it's more violent. Then yes, I am well aware of it. I talk about it a bit in the review for Conquest of the Planet of the Apes that I did, and I actually want to do a video highlighting the differences between the two, just specifically between the theatrical cut and the unrated cut. But yeah, I'm well aware of it. I think the R-rated cut or the unrated cut is much better. It's just it hammers home the themes much more. It's much more blatant with what it's trying to say. It's much more intense. And I think the theatrical cut, it's really just the ending that bothers me. I think toning the violence down, it kind of sucks, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's the ending being changed that really bothers me, just because it, on top of the fact that it just isn't well edited together, it's very lame and it's very safe. So I don't like that they did that to the ending in the theatrical cut. Okay, Lewis. If the original Planet of the Apes were to be remade today, which modern actors would you cast in each role? This is actually a video that I have been wanting to make for the last 3 months, and I have not gotten around to making it. But I want to do a full video doing a full casting of or like a recasting of the original Planet of the Apes characters. So I won't tell you who, but I know who I want as my Taylor, and I know who I want as my Cornelius. But I'm still working on some of the other characters. But yeah, that's a video I'm going to do in the future. So I won't tell you who, but you'll have an answer at some point soon. Larry. I tend to love the more polarizing sequels to where a director goes outside the box, like Batman vs Superman or Alien 3 and The Ring 2, Rob Zombie Halloween 2, to where they take a bold swing. I love a bold swing. I do love a bold swing. I might get myself in trouble just saying this. I love The Last Jedi. I think it's a great movie. I love the bold swings taken in that movie. And I actually like Batman vs Superman to a degree. I don't like everything in it, but I like Batman vs Superman. But Alien 3, did not like the movie. And Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I could not stand. But I also didn't really love the first Rob Zombie Halloween either. So, but yeah, I get it. I totally get that opinion. It's generally not my preference, but if you can, I always love movies taking big swings. I really, and Wes Ball even said he wants to take a bold swing with the next Planet of the Apes movie. So maybe that will end up being polarizing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm all for a big swing. I'm all for taking risks. It's just I prefer when a movie lands and is actually well done and sticks the landing and it's really good. So sometimes it's easier to do that and doing it safe, but I like a bold swing, but sometimes I don't think it's worth it. Talking Ape. Josh, are you going to be the director for the Kingdom sequel? Is that the big news? No, you don't want me to be the director of the Kingdom sequel. I promise you don't want me to be the director. We're going to get a bad movie if I'm the director. I've directed movies. I've directed short films. There's no way. There's just absolutely no way in hell that I could ever direct a movie that is on the scale of Planet of the Apes. I would have no idea how to work with all of those sets and all these different departments, and especially just working with motion capture and CGI is something I have no knowledge of whatsoever. It would be a terrible movie if that happened. Driz Music. I've been hooked to this channel since you made it. With that being said, which Planet of the Apes would you consider your personal favorite? Oh, the original. By far. It's the original 1968 movie. It's been my favorite ever since I saw it. And it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, there's always a chance that another movie could surpass it. War comes very, very close, and there are days and there are times when I watch it where I think it might be better, but to me, there's just no beating the original. It's the one that started it all. It's the it's the embodiment of what Planet of the Apes is thematically and storytelling wise. So I just love it. I really, really love it. Larry, could you ever see a Zack Snyder standalone directed Apes movie? Oof. It 100% depends on what it is. I have very mixed opinions on Zack Snyder. I think I'll be careful about what I say. I think he's a very interesting director, and he seems like a really nice guy. Like everyone that works with him says that he's like the nicest guy in the world. So I wish no ill will on the guy, but I just think he's a bit too, I guess, self-indulgent is the right word. Sometimes I think he doesn't know sometimes when to reel himself in, and it makes for movies that just sometimes really just don't work, and they feel. And I also just I don't like that every movie he makes has to be 3+ hours long, like, and it ultimately doesn't need to be that way. Like he really needs to work on story, and I think story structure. But there are movies of his that I love. 300. I love 300. That's my favorite movie of his by far. And Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead and 300 I think are genuinely some of my favorite horror movies of all time. They're incredible movies. Or not 300. Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and 300 is one of my favorite action movies of all time. And I really like Man of Steel. I like Batman vs Superman. I like his version of Justice League. And I actually really liked Army of the Dead. I really liked Army of the Dead. So I don't know if he's the right fit for Planet of the Apes, just because I don't know if that's really the type of world he fits, but it depends on the story. It depends on what he's doing with it. If it was like a part of the sequel, like these current movies, no, I wouldn't want him touching it, or even the movies that follow it. But if it was like just a standalone story in like a smaller budget kind of thing, sure, I'd give it a shot. Will Hittinger, do you think Rocca survived the flood? Yeah, I do. I 100% think he survived the flood. There was all. I mean, Wes Ball even said a few weeks ago there was some video that Planet of the Apes put out where they were like, where he was talking about Rocca's gone, or is he? So I think it's pretty much a guarantee that he's going to come back. That's the type of character that you just know is going to come back. So and he's a very important part of Noah's journey. So I think it would be silly to not have him come back. Shades. Have you ever seen any of the Avatar movies? They're made by the same people, as you probably know. And if so, are you going to watch the one coming out this year? I love the Avatar movies. I know some people do not like the Avatar movies, and that's totally fine. But yes, I'm going to watch the new one, Fire and Ash. I can't wait. I think the trailer is actually supposed to come out soon. I think I heard it was coming out next week. I might be wrong, but I'm very excited for it. I loved Way of Water. I loved, and I mean loved, Way of Water. The first one's great. But Way of Water, I think that's one of the best blockbusters of the decade. Like, it's just so staggering, and it's epic, and it's just really well put together. Talking Ape. On the subject of animated movies, Transformers 1 was surprisingly good. Yes, that's another. I completely forgot about that one. I love Transformers 1. That was one of my favorite movies of last year. I didn't see a lot of movies last year, but that was one of my favorite movies I saw last year. I am not a big fan of the Transformers franchise. The 2007 one is good. I grew up with it, but everything after that, not great. I like Bumblebee a lot. Bumblebee's really good, but Transformers 1 is by far, I think, the best Transformers movie that we've ever gotten. Simp for Avril, would you like Circus to come back to play another character like how Roddy and Heston did? 100%. 100% would love to see him come back, either as a human or as another ape. I think Andy Serkis totally should come back. I think he actually will. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back in the next movie or just a movie in this trilogy, but he's totally going to come back, and I think he should. I think that'd be awesome. And because of motion capture and performance capture, it's totally possible. So we could see him play multiple characters, and he could probably play them all really well. And he's just such a versatile actor, too, that he could pull it off. Cassandra Dorantes, sorry. What do you think about an animated series of Planet of the Apes? What story would you like to see? Let's make a Kickstarter. Don't know about the Kickstarter, but I think a Planet of the Apes animated series could be cool. I don't know what story they would tell. I personally think just doing it maybe post Caesar's death, or just maybe at some point between War and Kingdom, just in that 100 years somewhere, just telling a standalone story about apes. That would be cool. I really, when it comes to theorizing, like what story should they tell, I'm really of the mind of I want to see what a filmmaker that I really like has in store. I want to just see an original story from a filmmaker that has passion towards the franchise. So whatever, if they have an animated series that's worth the Planet of the Apes legacy and worth the name and worth the Planet of the Apes universe, and can really be interesting and compelling, then yeah, I'm all for it. Chris Clark, would you like them to take the new franchise all the way up to an eventual redo of the originals? Yes, I do. I I don't know if that's where they're heading, but I think that these movies 100% should be heading towards a remake of the originals. I don't know if that's where they're going to go, but I think that's where they should end it. Um, and speaking of ending things, I'm probably going to wrap this up in the next few minutes. So I'm just going to find a few more questions to talk about, and then I'll wrap things up here. Um, let's see. Let's find a good one here. Okay, let's do this one. Clay Snyder, what's your opinion on the ending to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Personally, I thought that the premise that the human technology is still usable after 300 years and that humans are still knowledgeable of how to use them was odd. I get what you're saying. I've heard this complaint multiple times from some people. I get it. I'm of the mind that I just want to wait and see what they do with it. We didn't really get an explanation as to why they know how to use it. We didn't get an explanation as to how it's still usable. So my hope is that it's a bit further explored in the next movie. If it isn't, I'm okay with it, just because it's a science fiction movie, and that would be the fiction part of science fiction. So I'm totally cool with it, but I get why it bothers some people. It just doesn't really bother me that much. Um, Larry, thoughts on the Hellboy movies? The two Guillermo del Toro movies, I think, are both fantastic. Hellboy 2, I think, is genuinely one of the most underappreciated comic book movies ever. Didn't see the David Harbour one, didn't really have any interest, and I still hope they one day make a third Guillermo del Toro, Ron Perlman movie. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Hellboy movies. Um, Simp for Avril, you're gonna love Caesar's story whenever you get around to reading it. I've heard good things about it. I once I learned what that is, it sounds really cool and it sounds really intriguing. And I didn't even know it existed until like a year or so ago. So it sounds like a really cool read. I don't know if I'll ever cover it on the channel. Maybe I will, but I definitely want to check it out at some point. Poliostasis, hot take, Beneath the Planet of the Apes could have been good if they didn't retread on the original movie too much in the first half and made Brent more than just a clone of Taylor. I totally agree. I completely agree. I would say 60% of my problem with that movie is that exact reason. The first half of the movie is a beat for beat retread of the movie we just got before it. It's the same exact story. It's the same exact premise. Brent is basically a reskin of Taylor. It's the same thing. So if they'd found a way to be, if they just taken, I don't mind another astronaut coming back in searching for Taylor, but it's the fact that they just completely had him follow the exact same steps as Taylor that's my problem. So if they'd had him go in a different direction and then it led into the end of the movie, I think we would have had a great sequel that I would probably consider one of the best. But as it stands, I think that is a large part of what sinks it down for me. Will Hittinger, were you Team Iron Man or Team Captain America? I went into Civil War Team Iron Man, and I came out Team Captain America. So I don't know what that says about me, but that's how I thought about it. Oh, I actually have a super chat here, so that's cool. I'm going to put that one up. thank you so much, God of Chaos. You didn't have to do that, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Do you think we could potentially get a tame version of mutants in the new trilogy? By the way, I'm one of the few who love Beneath Planet of the Apes. That's awesome. I'm glad you love it. I know a lot of people love it. There's, especially the older diehard fans of the original series, tend to have a lot of people that love Beneath the Planet. So that's totally cool. I don't love it, but I know other people do. And again, could we get a tame version of them in the new trilogy? We could. We totally could. It depends on how. It will probably be some sort of virus related way of doing it, but I'm totally all for them doing it. Again, just if they make it in a way that makes sense and it doesn't feel like it's too outside the box and it's too out there, and it just has to work for the casual moviegoers. All right, David Whitner, which franchise was ultimately more influential in your opinion, Planet of the Apes or Star Wars? As much as I love Planet of the Apes, and it is, and I got to be honest, these days I'm wondering if maybe Planet of the Apes I actually care about more than Star Wars. But there's no denying Star Wars is like the franchise. Star Wars, Planet of the Apes was first, but Star Wars redefined what a movie franchise could be. To be honest, it did it 3 different times. It redefined what a franchise could be in the 70s and 80s, and then it did it again in the 90s and early 2000s, and then it did it again in the last 15 years with The Force Awakens and Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, so, and all the spin-offs and everything. So I think Star Wars by far is the most influential franchise of all time. And honestly, I think you also got to put James Bond up there. I think that's also one of the most influential of them all. Let's see. That's a good one. Mr. Neal, do you think it will be a good idea for a new Ape series, or would it just kill the franchise as it is? It may bring in a new audience. I mean, it could bring in a new audience, but it really just depends on what the story is. It depends on what it's about. Is it going to be about apes? Because that would be a pretty expensive franchise, unless it's animated. Or is it about humans? Which I don't know if everyone's as interested in seeing a human-driven TV series about Planet of the Apes. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it would kill the franchise. I don't know if it would necessarily help the franchise, but I don't think it would kill the franchise. Oh, here's one. What's your opinion on The Last of Us, both the game and the TV show? I love The Last of Us. The Last of Us, actually, The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite video game of all time. I love The Last of Us Part 2, but the first one is still, it's pretty much my second favorite game of all time. Both those games are masterpieces to me. I think the TV show is great. I thought it was a little rushed. I think it needed a good maybe episode or 2 more just to really flesh out the relationship between Joel and Ellie. But overall, it was good, and I'm very, very excited for season 2, which I think comes out next Sunday or maybe the 2 weeks from this Sunday. I don't know. I'm going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to close up here. Okay, I have another super chat, so I'll take that one. It would be more if you hadn't mentioned Last Jedi. I don't know. It would be more what Talking Ape. You can let me know in the chat, but I thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'll do. That was a super chat, so I'll do 2 more after that. Let me find. Okay, here's one. Oh, this is a good one. Sim for Avril, are you having a good 2025? Yes, I am having a good 2025. I'm actually having a pretty good year so far. Definitely better than last year. Definitely better than last year. Last year was a crazy and actually, I take that back. The first half of last year for me was fantastic. Just with everything that happened with Ape Nation, amazing. It was so fun. I was so grateful for everything that happened with the channel and with West Ball and everything. It was awesome, and all of you guys I'm so thankful for. But the second half of my 2024 was a disaster. So everything's been a lot more stable and on track for me lately. So I'm really, really having a good year. But thank you. I hope you are too. I'll do. Let me find one more to end on. Oh, actually, you know what? This is a good one. Not Planet of the Apes related, but it's a good one. Okay, Larry. Question: what are your thoughts on the current state of blockbuster movies to where studios are going over $200 million? Oh, Larry, I could talk for hours about this. Um, I think there's a lot of problems in Hollywood with spending, like a lot of problems, and it needs to be reined in because if it isn't, we're not going to see blockbuster movies anymore. Just with the state of theaters and with the state of streaming and with the state of spending in Hollywood, there is just so much going wrong. Just, I think there's a lot of things that could be cut back. I think one of the biggest is we need to cut back on how much we're paying certain movie stars to be in these movies. I don't know why Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid $80 million to be in two movies. That's absurd. Um, you know, Brad Pitt does not. We should not be paying Brad Pitt to be paid $15 million, $20 million to be in a movie. Like things like that. Just that compared to how much they're spending on just making movies bigger and more spectacle filled. When you actually make the movie better by spending less because it forces your creatives to be more creative. So I think we need to scale things down. I think we need to focus more on story. We need to focus less on making everything big and crazy and full of CGI. But, there are also movies that can't exist without CGI, Planet of the Apes being one of them, So it's a give and take, it's a balance, but it's just there's so much that is wrong with the state of blockbuster films. There's also just, this is not really budget related, but there's just way too much reliance on franchises and known IPs, which, and this is a whole other conversation that I'm not going to get into, but it's wholeheartedly, not wholeheartedly, but just largely caused by audiences. People don't go see anything but those big IP and franchise movies nowadays in theaters. And if they do, even some of them don't make enough money. So there's a lot that I could talk about with this subject. Honestly, I've mentioned before, I do plan on making another channel where I'll probably talk more about this kind of stuff, but that is something that really bothers me nowadays. And just the state of blockbusters is really gone downhill. There's still some great ones there. I think the Dune movies are two of the best movies that I've seen in the last, honestly, probably my entire life. I love both Dune Part 1 and Part 2. The Planet of the Apes movies are fantastic. There's certain other, really just anything Christopher Nolan makes, Oppenheimer, Interstellar, even though that was like 10 years ago now. But like, there are great blockbusters out there and franchise movies too. But there's a lot of crap. There's just a lot of crap out there. So I think a lot of things need to be changed. A lot of things need to be fixed. But there is still great stuff out there. There is still great filmmakers and creative people doing great work, but there's a lot of work to be done. So with all that said, that is going to do it for me tonight, but this was fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. If you guys want to see me more of these, I can make this more of a regular thing. Maybe, I don't know if it's a weekly thing, maybe like a monthly thing. I could do like actually I could probably do longer. I'd probably do like a 2-hour long hangout and just, talk Planet of the Apes or whatever with you guys, answer questions. But yeah, this was just to do a little test run, see how this works. Everything seems fine. I think I understand how this works now, so this is great. This is actually much easier to navigate than I thought it was going to be, so that's really cool. But yeah, let me know in the comments or in the live chat if you guys want to see me do more of these, because I can start doing these on a regular basis if you are interested. But yeah, just let me know. So with all that said, I'm going to head out of here, but thank you all so much for checking out this live stream here. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And if you like what I do here and want to see more, as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things apes. So I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.